morning, but we're going to have a live trip report for you here. Maybe you are on the East Coast. I guess this could be an early lunch special, or it's what I call here in the Midwest. It's snack time, and where Maggie is, it's breakfast. It's all the meals today with the podcast. So we're gonna have a trip report. We're gonna do this instead of tonight because, well, we got a lot going on. Mallory's got cheer for 3 hours. And then we had the Big Brother 2-hour season finale and Amazing Race. Tonight's a big night in this little house. So you do dance, right? Or cheer?
Dance. I'm a dance teacher. I own a dance studio here in Spokane.
Crazy. Yeah. So how are you guys dealing with, real quick before we get to the trip report, like, because Mallory's still cheering, but they're wearing masks at the gym and everything, and they're stunting, and who knows? They're trying to get around all this because you can't really compete. But how are you guys handling with dance?
So we're allowed with our regulations to not wear masks. It's optional. So some kids do, some don't. But everything's non-contact. So whereas with cheer,
they're on top of each other. Yeah, so they have masks on, but they're all whining because it is physically demanding, and so
it is.
They're like the little paper ones,
Yeah, but our instructors, so I have to wear a mask the entire time that I'm teaching. So we're required to.
Cool. Yeah, it's such a weird world. Such like the World Series last night, like the Dodgers win the World Series. Apparently I heard this morning one of the guys tested positive for COVID in the 6th inning, and then he's like, forget that, man. I'm celebrating with my team. He's already out there. The world is so crazy right now.
I know.
All right, let's get this done so we can get this out there for Monday.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, it'll be Paige's birthday. Wait, November 2nd? Yeah, it will be Paige's birthday. All right. God, she'll be 24. I'm so old. 24. God, I almost had my first full-time job at 26. Oh my God. Okay. I didn't need to think about that today. Holy cow. All right, here we go. Welcome to episode 1791 of the Be Our Guest Walt Disney World Trip Planning Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Rallman from BeOurGuestPodcast.com and one of the senior agents over at the Magic for Less Travel. Happy Monday to you, and I can't believe it. Welcome to November and a huge birthday shout out to Paige. That's right. Today is Paige's birthday. She is 24. Which is crazy because I'm 29. I don't know how the math works on that one, but happy birthday, Paige, nonetheless. She's out in Columbia, not celebrating with us here in St. Louis. She's working for the basketball team because basketball is going hot and heavy out at Mizzou. So good luck to the Lady Tigers this year. She's helping them hopefully capture that SEC title this year. But today you're here for a trip report, and that's exactly what we have. And again, a very current trip report to my favorite resort down at Walt Disney World. Maggie's been on the show before. She's joining us again from out in Spokane, Washington. Maggie, good morning to you. We're doing this one early.
Yes, good morning. Thanks for working with my schedule too.
Thanks for working with mine too. It's crazy times. But yeah, it's fun recording in the morning. I don't know. Everybody's looking at me like, what are you doing? You do that at night. So anyhow, we are going to talk about, you took a trip all the way across the country down to Walt Disney World last month. Now it was in mid-October. And so give us some background on this trip. Why did you schedule this one? What was the goal of heading down mid-October?
So my husband and I were actually going to book a trip. We had just gotten back from South Carolina. We decided it's our 10-year anniversary this year. We had like this special hotel deal. And so we were going to go down in May for our anniversary. And we hadn't yet booked it when everything shut down. And so then that just put a damper on things for a while. And when things started reopening, we talked about it, but then, we started looking at, do we not take our kids? But then that's difficult because they are not in school full time. And so, so it's just like, how do we juggle all the things? But then we just decided, you know what, when else are we able to just take them out of school in the middle of fall? We've never done Disney World in the fall. I usually go in January every year. And Halloween's one of my favorite holidays, and the fall is my favorite season. So I was like, you know what, I should be in my favorite place in the fall in 2020.
I agree. I mean, the thing is, this is the pandemic is obviously causing us lots of stress and lots of hardships and lots of reworking of schedules and stuff like that. But it's also opportunities where, like my buddy Scott, he's down there for 9 nights right now celebrating his daughter's birthday, who is usually normally in school right now, but because of distance learning in Michigan. I mean, I saw that, they're in a 2 bedroom, just three of them at Old Key West. I mean, it's like their house. And I mean, they literally have it set up. They have groceries. She has all of her computer, her school books. She's even got her clarinet, all of her music set up. So she is doing school from there, but it is an opportunity where they wouldn't be able to do that if she was in normal middle school right now. So also happy birthday to Emily last week. We didn't say that here on the show. So yeah, that's a great opportunity. And so you guys kind of took that opportunity of, well, we've had a lot of disappointment. Let's turn it into an opportunity and get down in a time where you normally can't.
Yep, exactly. And we booked with you. We've never done a travel agent before, but we did this year. A, to support you, and um, B, because it's weird times. And so as much as I feel like I know how to book a Disney vacation, it was just like I might be missing all of these, things that I need to be checking the boxes. And so it was really for peace of mind, having you help me book the trip, and Magic for Less, all the emails coming in and the reminders and that kind of thing. So for those of you who listen to the podcast, I know a lot of us feel like we're Disney experts, but use a travel agent this time because it is weird. It's definitely weird.
We appreciate it. I mean, it helps us keep the lights on. It helps us keep the bread on the table, as we say around here. And it really, I mean, the reminders kind of go out. That's kind of just a way to keep everybody on track of what's coming up, what you need to think about, what things we've even got reminders in there since COVID happened. Hey, these are the new rules. These are what I remember when the biggest rule we had to worry about about a year ago.
Uh-oh.
That was the world's biggest worry a year ago. And now things, have changed so much. So yeah, I appreciate that so very much. And, I'll be honest, I wake up every morning. First thing I do before I go on my run at like 5:15 in the morning, I check my notifications on my phone. Like, did the world change since 10 o'clock last? Well, not too much. I can go for my run and then get to work, so it is, we're all going through this together. All right. So real quick, we mentioned this a little bit on the previous show, but give me your background in Disney. What's your connection? Especially with your kids, like, do they watch all the movies at home? Do you guys have Disney movie nights? Some people do, some people don't. I mean, give me your general backstory of why you're a Disney fan.
I've been a Disney fan my entire life. I'm a Disney kid. We went every other year to either Disneyland or Disney World as a family. And I've continued that all throughout my adult life as well. So my kids have actually been more times than my husband, because my husband doesn't always come with us. And we are, yeah, all the Disney movies, all the Disney things. We love everything Disney, everything Star Wars, everything Marvel. Those ones, at least my husband does get behind. And so, yeah, we're definitely a Disney family, and we go all the time.
That's good. So I would imagine Disney Plus is kind of one of the default channels in your
Oh
house.
yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
obviously we're recording this a bit early because we record on Wednesdays, but The Mandalorian, something you guys get behind. I mean, I'm sure we've had episode 1 drop on Friday. We haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure it's a big hit at your house.
Yes, definitely. We already have it scheduled into our weekend for when we're going to be watching it and what we're eating and all the things.
That's good stuff. All right. So let's get into the trip. You guys were down mid-October, stayed at Pop Century. So again, you guys travel cross country, cross continent. What's that like, especially with two, elementary age kids? I mean, it's got to be a challenge. Like, how do you, what's your strategy for booking flights and arrival times and all that stuff?
Okay, so we have early flight when you leave from this side of the country, because you lose 3 hours
Mhm.
going over there. We flew Alaska. It was amazing. There wasn't much. One thing that I would just suggest for people flying, there's not as much in terms of food and beverage service. So you really want to think about that, especially we had a 5-hour flight.
Whew.
So it's a long flight when you don't get any food. And because we left so early, we didn't really plan for that. So that little bag of Chex Mix that they gave us, like we were just like ready
Seriously,
for
yeah.
it.
Southwest, you get like little like 7 little Ritz crackers with peanut butter on the inside, like sandwiches. But the bag looks huge because when you're up there, it's all puffed up, because of the altitude, and then you
Yeah.
get in like, oh, dude,
You open it.
7 crackers.
Exactly. Yeah. So that was a struggle, I would say. But other than that, I mean, my kids I have been pretty good about mask wearing and all of that. So that was not an issue. We felt really safe on the plane. There's probably only, I'd say 40 to 50% of the plane was full for Alaska. They weren't booking the middle row, just like Southwest doesn't. And then it just wasn't a full flight. So we felt great going down there. I preloaded a lot of 3028 podcasts, and I had like
Nice.
backlogged some other trip reports from you guys, so that I had stuff to listen to the whole way. And I was just cracking up at their goat episode. Did you hear the goat one?
The goats and the trees, the birdhouses,
Yeah.
and then
Oh,
all the
the weather yeah. So we
Mother
all those,
Bank.
and I saw goats everywhere on this trip because of their podcast, and so it's just like, oh my gosh, so funny. But I honestly, traveling from Washington, we're pretty locked down. And, so I wasn't sure what Florida was going to be like, because Florida is this other world
Mhm.
to us up here in Washington and in so many ways. And I was pleasantly surprised by how much it felt like home in terms of safety, in Orlando, in all of Orlando. That we got off the plane and, my husband's like ready to rip off his mask because he's not used to wearing one for work.
That's how
And we
that's
get
how I
there.
am because, like, I work from home and, like, if I go to Target or something, they bring it out to the car now, and I only eat, like, drive-through food, so, all these people tell me in the real world now they're wearing masks all the time, it's second nature. For me, it's not. Like,
Yeah,
I've been to 2 Mizzou football games, that's really the only time I've had on a mask other than when I was at Walt Disney World in August, except for a
yep.
couple times running in here and there, so it's not second nature, I'm kinda like your husband.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. And I guess I hadn't realized that for him. Otherwise, I would have had him prepare. But we land in, the entire airport. Everybody's wearing masks. Everybody's socially distant. So for anyone who's hesitant about what Orlando might be like, I was afraid of what the airport would be like, and
mhm.
no more fears anymore. Like it was awesome in Orlando. MCO's doing a great job. I felt safe the entire time. So then we got into uh, our first resort, and we just did food delivery from Amazon, Amazon Fresh, and got everything kind of settled in that day. Um, so that was day one, was just traveling, not eating on the airplane, and
But see, if I had to fly 5 hours and once I got to Walt Disney World, I'd be eating all the stuff. I'd have to go to Disney Springs because there's lots like a high target eating area or Epcot. But the thing is, this is the new world that we're living in, is that, I wouldn't worry about that till I got there. I'd land I'd land early afternoon, early morning, whatever. I had all different kinds of flight times based on prices, but now you're locked into a theme park, so like you'd land and be like, okay, I'll go to the studios. Oh no, I'm kind of hungry. I'll go to Epcot. Nowadays you're locked in. You can't do that. So that is how things have changed.
yeah. And we did do Disney Springs our second day. So we had our first day there, we just kind of relaxed at the resort. We did some swimming early in the morning. And then once we started getting hungry for lunch, we popped over to Disney Springs. Um, and we snacked a lot. We got boba tea, we got frozen beer, we went to Amorette's and had 3 different giant desserts. We went to the sausage stand, and then we did a little bit of shopping, and we ended day 2 at City Works for dinner. Um,
So how was that? Because Pam and Ricky both rave about that place. I haven't been there yet, but it sounds like my jam. But I just don't find myself at Disney Springs all that often right
It
now.
was it was fun. It was just a really cool atmosphere. Our server was great. Brian got the sliders because Pam has said
Yeah.
that those sliders are amazing, and they were. We all loved our food. It was awesome. It was a great like first little dinner there to get, since we didn't really have dinner the night before officially. it was just a cool hangout spot. We didn't feel rushed or anything. We got a table pretty easy. Um, yeah, it was awesome. And I was nervous because the night before we flew in on a Friday, and on Friday night I was checking like all the Disney news, and Disney Springs had been closed because they had reached capacity. And so I started freaking out on the next day. It was like, we got to get there early so that we could at least get in. But we had no issues on that Saturday.
Again, what world are we living in? You got these capacity issues at the springs. You got to worry about those kind of. It is. I mean, it's you do. Even if you're a veteran traveler, you got to kind of rethink things, not to make you nervous, just to be prepared. Because honestly, somebody that's been going for 20 years, these kind of things could slip by because you're like, oh, I used to go to downtown Disney a decade ago. It's no big deal. Get on a boat, and well, there's no boat for one thing, and you could be locked out too. Hey, real quick, just tangentially, I was reading about this yesterday. How excited are you for a donut shop at Disney Springs?
Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Oh, yes.
I was sad that Cookie Dough was not open, but then I saw the donut news and was like, okay, I can
feel
last.
terrible that I'm that excited about that. I mean, I could be, I'm excited about a donut shop. I know City Works City Walk has Voodoo, which I've been there, and that's pretty good too. But yeah, any kind of donut. I mean, you got donuts, you got cookie dough, like you mentioned. I guess this makes up that we're not going to have the Ample Hills over on the west side. So
Yeah, I know. Yep.
RIP Ample Hills, but I had my snack this weekend, so I'm good. All right, so talk to us about with the kids. Like, how did they going into the theme park? You said they're good mask wearers. That's 90% of the battle right now. So how did they do on this trip?
They did great. So part of the discussion with our kids about taking them there was that they had to ride all the rides because they're now both tall enough that they can ride every single ride. And so before we left, when I was in the planning phase, I made buttons of every single ride at Disney World. And
Wait, like physical buttons, like with
like
pins?
so like little cutout little
Holy
buttons
cow.
for every single ride that we
Oh
could
my
do.
gosh.
And I told them, because my kids really like that kind of like incentive of like, okay, if I do this ride, I'll get in. I was like, you know what? I will only make you do the ride once. If you hate it, we don't have to do it again throughout the rest of the trip.
Fair.
But you need to at least do it because my husband and I both love, love, love rides. And this was supposed to be our anniversary trip, so we should have been able to ride every single ride that we wanted to. We're now bringing our kids along. I was like,
You're not ruining our vacation, but you are not
exactly.
going to make it that bad. Let's go. I know how to do it. I get it.
So I met him halfway with a button.
That's true. And I'll be honest, I've never been to Walt Disney World with my wife, just us two. I mean, dude, we've been married forever. It's just one of those things. Like I'd feel guilty. I know people do it, and I know that it's totally fine. My kid, Mallory especially, would murder.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
Well, I love that. So we'll have to maybe get a picture of the buttons to show somewhere. So
Yeah, totally.
yeah, excited about them too.
Oh, that's fine.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm surprised mine hasn't started, so you're good. So yeah, so they did great. They rode every single thing. We did Animal Kingdom the first day, and they were tired because it's just a big park. Everything is a big walk.
Yeah, huge.
And so they were tired, but we did every single ride there. We got the whole park done. We snacked a ton. That was kind of the day that every day I planned around a different one of them because I get to go every year for a dance competition. And so I was like, you know what, I'm going to pick one person each day, and that's going to be kind of the person I plan around. So Animal Kingdom was my son, Logan. And we did lots of snacking because he likes to watch like all the Disney snack news with me. And, he's really into cooking and baking and all of these things. So he was excited about that. So we ate a lot of food while we were there.
That's my kind of kid right there. He's going to Disney for snacks.
And you know what? When you're walking as much as you do in Animal Kingdom, then you can eat all you want.
That's what I say. I run a marathon. I eat everything.
Yep.
It all works out. So now let me ask you this though, with the kids, because they're not that old. Did either one of them like kind of, not a chicken, but I mean, not want to ride something like an Expedition Everest, or are they daredevils? I mean, there's adults that don't ride those things.
Right. So we were a little nervous because my son can get motion sickness, but he does he likes roller coasters. So it's more the simulator. So I was a little nervous about Expedition Everest. That was his favorite. Or sorry, not Expedition Everest, Flight of Passage. But that one ended up being his favorite. Expedition Everest is my favorite.
Nice.
But my daughter has typically not been a ride doer. However, her personality seemed like she would like it, so we decided to make her do it. And she didn't love some of them. She's behind me listening. But she made it through it. She got her button. she's,
I like it. Yeah, I see the look here on the video.
she's
That's
giving me the look.
any parent could appreciate that. Yes. No,
Yeah.
I totally get that because, I mean, some kids are just more daredevils and others, some just kind of will try things for a time. Some kids are like locked up, like say you're rolling up the rock and roller coaster and because, you walk up to that one, you see the roller coaster upside down as you go under that arch. Like,
But
you are not
I think overall, she found that she likes roller coasters now. It's just if they do a loop or if they're in the dark. She's not a big fan of those two things. But like Thunder Mountain, Slinky Dog, like some of those other ones that are kind of still big roller coasters, she really enjoyed and thought that they were great. So it was a good experience overall of like kind of testing where is her comfort level. And maybe we pushed it a little bit at times, but she also still she enjoyed the process of not liking some of them as well and getting to be a little dramatic about what we did to her.
Trust me, I know. I've raised 2 girls. I get it.
Yeah.
Part of the package. No, especially at Walt Disney World. Yeah, but I like the the physical item that they can earn or, have proof of experience kind of thing. I've never thought about that. That's really cool. And also it's something when you get home, it's like a, little collection. Like, hey, I got this button. I remember it was raining when we did, Slinky Dog, and I could remember that. It brings back memories. I'm sure even years from now. That's a great idea. Where'd you get the patterns? So each button kind of had it looked like the attraction or had the logo?
So each one I just Google searched Expedition Everest logo, and then a bunch of things would come up and I would pick one of them, and I let the kids be part of the process as well if there were multiple images that we could have done. And then I have Photoshop abilities, and so I just put it all in Photoshop, had them printed at FedEx, and then they make like little circle cutters and button makers. But I'll make sure to share with you some pictures of what they ended up as. They were really fun, and we ended up doing I think 30 rides throughout the entire 3 days.
That is awesome. Yeah, you guys got it because you weren't there super long, which is kind of, when I looked at it, I'm like, okay, it was 3 days. You guys came all the way across the country for a quick trip. Interesting though. So let me ask you too, because Rob is here live from San Francisco in the chat, kind of watching along as we record. He's going down next week. So he's very excited to hear your thoughts. Now, let me ask you about crowds from your perspective, because, you said you felt safe, but of course the crowds have been building since, if you went into July, nobody was there. It was a ghost town. I went first week of August, ghost town. But the thing is, social media is showing people are going, people are staying safe. People are obviously making choices for themselves as comfort levels, and the crowds are building. But I still think it sounds like you guys got a lot done. And I'm hearing it more and more that a lot of people still, even though the lines look long, people are still getting on attractions rather quickly and getting things done. So what was your perspective?
Yeah. So, like I said, I usually go in January, and it sometimes overlaps with, is it Martin Luther King Jr. week, that weekend that can be a little bit busier, but January is not typically super busy outside of marathon. And so I would say comparing this trip to when I normally go in January, there was probably, it felt like about like 75%, but that's on a non-busy. I know October is typically very busy.
Totally.
And so I think if you normally travel in the fall, you would find that there wasn't, maybe it felt like half or so. It doesn't feel like 25%. I know they're saying it's 25%, but that's of the absolute full capacity. So I would say it probably felt more like it was at like half compared to a normal October and what I've seen in terms of crowds and that kind of thing. But we got a lot done. Everything moves really quickly. The lines move really quickly. I love that. The hard part for me with FastPass is that some of those lines get so ridiculous. Like I've been to Disney World 5 times since Flight of Passage has opened, and this was the first time I got to ride it
Wow.
because I could never get. And so, and I'm not going to wait 4 hours for any ride.
Me neither.
I'll wait an hour and a half, maybe getting up to 2 hours, but I'm not going to wait 4 hours. And so, so it was just nice that if you were willing to put in the time to wait in line, which are shorter. I mean, I think our longest wait was an hour and a half, and that was for Mickey and Minnie's. Then you can ride the ride. And so we got a lot of things done that we don't normally get to do when there's fast pass and higher crowds.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I mean, but the thing is, it looks intimidating. That's the thing is
it does. Oh my gosh.
you're like the
Your
kids
line starts in like another lane.
for real. I mean, like, yeah, like it was they're doing Toy Story. I think they're queuing up now at the Voyage of the Mermaid.
Yep.
In the
That was
movie,
where we joined it. Yeah.
which is
But it was an hour.
yeah.
But it looks like I'm going to be in this line for the rest of the day. But you're not.
Yeah, exactly. I'll go to turn 90 when I'm in this line.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and the problem is when you have kids that have been there before that are in the know, especially kids that know how the fast pass system works, it's hard to sell them on getting in a line like that. Like, I promise it's not going to be 7 hours. Yeah, what we
Well,
get
because
not
like
even in the land. Yeah, exactly.
the rider swap, like they would see because they know what fast pass is. So they see rider swap going through fast pass, and they see like they have the ADA stuff that's able to access fast, and so they're just like, why don't we have a fast pass? I'm like, guys, it's not a thing right now. I'm sorry.
If you would have been better the last year, Santa would have brought you a fast pass. But this year bad.
Right.
Standby lines all the time. So you got 2 months, get it together. Maybe we'll get fast pass in 2021. No, that I would totally use that though as a play. I'm just saying to get your
So
kids back better.
yeah. So I do have a few tips. I wrote some stuff down
Good. That's what we
for
need.
the people. Okay, so number one, we didn't learn this until our last day, but having like a tap out strategy when you're in line in those really long lines. If you're bringing kids, especially, but also if you just like if you're like my husband and you're struggling a little bit with mask wearing for that long, we finally figured it out in Hollywood Studios, and that's because so many of those lines are outside and they're really, really long.
Yep.
But I would have him take the kids to a bench. He would grab a drink, the kids would have a drink or a snack, and they would just sit at the bench, and I would wait in line. And then we would discuss when I got to a certain point in the line, then they would rejoin me, but then they could go take a break, take off their mask. I didn't mind wearing the mask. I liked having some alone time in the line. I'd put in my headphones and listen to a podcast or something like that. And so it was like a win-win situation. It was just like, oh shoot, we figured this out too late, because if I had known that day one.
I like this a lot.
Yeah.
I'm totally going to use this.
Yeah. So it was awesome. And we could just switch out. And then if I had to like go to the bathroom, then I could call Brian on the phone and he would come over and I would go, take the kids there, and it worked. So that's number one. Number two is just the way that dining is working right now. I learned some things. So the walk-up wait lists are great. That's something that they've been rolling out with more and more of the restaurants over the weeks. And so by the time we got there, quite a few of them had it. If the wait list is full, just keep checking, because it's like we found availability at so many different places. So you have to join the wait list, and then they will send you a text when your table is ready. And once they send you the text, you have 20 minutes. And so we thought that when they sent you the text, like it was time. So we're like running across the park trying to
Depends how hungry you are. Like, if I'm really hungry, man, I'm like, let's go. I don't care if I'm supposed to get on Flight of Passage. I want to eat. Let's go.
It's true. Yeah. So we were getting off of the Wilderness Express train, and our Nomad Lounge
For sure. You're
thing.
way back in Rafiki's Planet Watch. Oh my god,
Yeah,
you got yourself more remote from the rest of the park.
I know. So I had done it, and it said that it was going to be a 30-minute wait. So I was like, oh, perfect. Well, then we'll take the train back. We'll slowly walk. So we got off the train, and it sent me the text. It had only been like 5 minutes or however long the train was. And so we're like running to Nomad Lounge trying to get our reservation. And she was like, just so you know, you have 20 minutes from the time we sent the text.
Oh
Oh,
no, I'm hungry, and I was back in the most disconnected part of this park. I had to wait for another form of transportation to get back on the mainland. Yeah, exactly.
yeah, yeah. So you have 20 minutes. Know that. If you have an ADR, because we had an ADR at Skipper Canteen, that's my favorite restaurant. So about 10 minutes before, when you're in My Disney Experience, you check in. And you do that all through My Disney Experience. You don't do it at the actual check-in counter. And because then that's what gets you on the list to then get your table. And they'll send you a text and you have the 20 minutes. So we didn't know that. We just went up and got and checked in, and she was like, oh no, you have to do it through your phone. And then we had to wait another 20 minutes past our reservation time. So it would have saved us some time if I had known that that's how it worked. So hopefully that can save some of you guys some
Uh,
time.
and that's something that's very new. So now, did you get any kind of like a push notification saying your ADR is coming up? Because these are scheduled, so they're in your profile in your account. So did you get it saying, okay, it's coming up, check in now? I mean, is that something, or you got to go seek that?
Yeah, so it did send me a push notification. So we were walking on our way there already. And so I figured check in now just meant like go to the
Go to the stand.
go to the stand.
Yeah.
And so as soon as we got there, though, she's like, oh, no, you do it through the app. So you can do that from anywhere to do your check-in the 10 minutes before, because it's going to be about 10 to 20 minutes until you get your table anyways. And so then you wait for that text message the same way that you do for the walk-up wait list. So yeah, so we lost a little bit of time on Magic Kingdom Day because of that. So that's just another one that just know it happens through the app.
That's something I hope they keep, though, because that just makes sense. Like, you're killing two birds with one stone. Hit the button, you walk over, then they can get the table ready. You walk in, bam, sit down and eat. Yeah, I like that.
I love the way that dining is right now. I mean, I know we had a couple hiccups that cost us some time, but like learning the process, it's like, no, this is so much better. And I hope they keep it. Mobile order. I love mobile order.
I've loved it since they rolled it out, like about a year ago. And the thing is, now everybody knows about it. Like, the thing was, before COVID, it was like the secret. You'd have a line out of Casey's, halfway back to the Emporium, and I'm like just rolling in that side door, like getting my nuggets and my soda, and I'm out. Like, who's that guy? Like,
But you can at least know that like you can say that I'm here
true. That's true. Yeah,
while you're walking there, because most people don't even order until they get there.
that is true. Yeah, that is true. Yeah,
I
that's
saw a
how.
lot of people just sitting there waiting, staring at their phone, and I got off Dinosaur and hit make my food for Flame Tree. And by the time I got there, I just walked right in.
It's exactly. You don't have to be there. You just got to be hoofing it. You got to be moving. Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
just be on the way.
You got any other tips? Because I got to ask you one other thing before we
Yeah.
close. Because I know you're a Halloween fan, but give out the rest of your tips, though. Because these are great. These are great for the.
So my last one is about Magic Kingdom, like rope drop strategy. So we suffered a little bit. We had switched to pop that morning, and it affected our magic band with being able to get into the park. So we spent the first 20 minutes of our rope drop at guest services trying to get into the park, and so we lost some footing on that. And we were planning to go to Seven Dwarfs. Well, as I was in line for Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, I'm looking around and seeing that Fantasyland is a ghost town outside of Seven Dwarfs. And then later we came back to Fantasyland, and all of the other rides had bigger wait times, and Seven Dwarfs was down to 40 minutes. And I was like, we did that wrong. So switch it. Do all the rest of Fantasyland, start as close as you can to Seven Dwarfs and do those rides first, and then move slowly away, because all the people that get off of Seven Dwarfs
Are
are
going
then
to Fantasyland. Yeah. Well,
unless you want to get
or,
wet
I
in the
mean,
morning.
if you are like the dead first person in
Yes,
Fantasyland, then do Seven Dwarfs because then
yes.
you're still ahead of the crowd. But you're
Yeah.
right. If you're say 20 minutes in, like you guys were, it makes sense to kind of not jump into the back end of that mad rush.
Yeah, and we were all over the place on that day as far as our strategy went. We just went by the seat of our pants. But because we're Disneyland people, it's not it, Magic Kingdom wasn't as much of like we have to do everything. It's so hard to do everything at that park anyways. But it was just we just want to hit the highlights. Splash Mountain was a long line, so that's another good one to rope drop if you want to get wet early, or do Thunder Mountain and then Splash Mountain because a lot of people were going to Seven Dwarfs. But yeah, so if you get in a little bit late, like we did, I would just do everything else, hit all of those things, and then come back later. It was a 40-minute wait at the end of the night. So
Wasn't it Yoda that said you must unlearn all that you have
yes,
learned? That's exactly God. So it's so messed up.
so
You're getting trained and can't use all of it anymore. Now, good. So you mentioned the Magic Kingdom. This is what I want to ask you about because you said you're a big Halloween fan. Fall, the kids of that age. No Halloween parties this year, but did you guys do anything to kind of roll your own? As we've kind of talked about here on the show, you have the little mini cavalcades playing Boo to You, which I think is awesome. I'm so wishing I could have been there for that. But did you guys dress up? Did you guys do anything like that?
yep. So we totally dressed up. My husband was Captain Hook and my son was Smee. And then my daughter really wanted to be Rapunzel. That's her favorite princess. So I dressed up as a giant chameleon. I I was in a pastel, like a bright green pastel shirt, lime green leggings, and I turned my white mini ears into two eyeballs that looked out in different directions. And I would say not a lot of guests understood what my costume was, but the cast members really appreciated it. And so I
Yeah.
got a lot of shout outs from the cast members.
So did
Uh,
you guys, did you enjoy that? Did you see other guests kind of getting into kind of making the most out of this year that a lot of places won't even have trick or treating? You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like this is probably it for a lot of folks as far as Halloween season. This is as good as it gets for
I
2020.
think a lot of people did it, whether or not they were just decked out in like all of the Mickey Halloween stuff, or if they went kind of over the top like we did with costuming. I'll send you some of those pictures too of our dressing up. But then we made a point to we really wanted to do the Sleepy Hollow, the pumpkin spice waffles. So we stood in line for that, and we went across the street. So not across the bridge, but across the street. There's like these little picnic tables back there, and I don't even want to tell everybody this, but so there's nobody back there.
Hey, if you're listening to the show, you can do this, but you can't let anybody see you do this.
Don't, yeah, sneak back there. So there's all these picnic tables back there. And so you can sit down, you can rest for a little bit. But then the cavalcades, they start somewhere over by like Country Bears, and they come around that corner. And from those picnic benches, you can see that corner, like the Liberty Tree. And then my kids would run from that location all the way back around. So they would get to see the cavalcade twice as
Nice.
it came through. And so we stayed there for about 45 minutes, and I think we saw all three from that location.
That's cool. And again, we've said this entire show is that you just got to make the most of this time that we have. We're missing fireworks. We don't have, under normal circumstances, you would have had Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween party going on. Did you guys do Epcot at all? Did you get over there for
We
food and
didn't do Epcot. Epcot's my favorite actually. And so my heart was a little hurt, partially because it's under construction. Although I was there in January and it was under construction, and I still loved it. So it's not. I don't think that should hold anyone back. But I would have wanted to like. I've never been to Food and Wine, and
water?
I would have wanted to hit Food and Wine as hard as I could, and that's not really the way that my family likes to
Yeah.
eat. And so I was just like, you know what? I just need to not do this so that I can do it right with my mom. We're planning to go in 2 more years in the fall, and my mom will be there, and
It'll
then
be
she and
fun.
I can
Yeah. You got to get the full experience. Hopefully
Yeah,
everything 2 years. Let's please pray that everything is back to what we normally have with entertainment and dining and everything
exactly.
that is missing right now. But no, it sounds like, you did your research and you prepared the kid. I think the biggest thing right now that I would say for families that have kids traveling, and even for like, significant others that are traveling, like where one person is the huge Uber Disney fan listening to the show and, doing all the planning, watching the videos and so forth. And the other one is just like, hey, it's vacation. It's fun, but I'm not all in. I think the whole thing is preparation and expectations. You told your kids it's going to look different this time, but it's not bad. It's just going to be different. Here's what we got to do to get by. Same for your husband. So, I mean, I think that is the biggest thing you can do at this point. And then, temper your expectations. Because I mean, if you're somebody that loves happily ever after, I loved Illuminations. I'm a big nighttime fireworks guy, and it's not there. But there's trade-offs. You got these
Mhm.
cavalcades, you got shorter lines, and let's face it, it's just good to get out of the house in 2020.
Well, and we got to do like we swam in the pool at the end of the night. We went to the hippy dippy pool and we walked by the movies under the stars and stood there for a little bit and just sat down and watched, which is so cute the way that they have it socially distanced because they have like little blankets laid
Yeah.
out everywhere. Yeah.
Like that's how our football game is. We have season tickets under normal years, and we have the cheap ones. Like we don't even get seats. We sit on the grass. There's a grass hill at the end of our football stadium, and every other year it's just they let you in the gate and you just get what you get, right? And you're just like sitting next to people you don't know, shoulder to shoulder. That's how it is. And who cares? It's college football. Nowadays they have big old squares, painted on the grass, and you get this square, square 7 or square 32. It's God, this year's so weird. So yeah, when we go back and look at these pictures, I'm hoping in 20 years we'll be like, that was such a weird time. Look at how
Yeah, exactly.
everybody's like in a pod. Yeah, but it's
But I'm
what
glad that we're like that you with football or with your trip and like my family with taking this trip, like we still need to get out
yeah.
and do things. And like, yes, if you're at risk, then of course you need to take, more precautions. But I felt very safe and I've been very much a rule follower throughout all of, all of this time. And it felt safe. It felt in control, which I think is a big part of it too. It's not just the safety, but, and my kids were rubbing on every single surface that they could, but they also have hand sanitizer everywhere, because kids are going to be kids. So don't go there and think that like, they're just going to stand there and not touch anything.
Yeah, I mean, kids, that's it. I mean, my kids in school, you mentioned your kids are in school now. And I mean, I can't imagine the job the teachers have, with middle school, like my
Oh,
kids,
yeah.
middle school. I mean, God, we were a mess in middle school, and I can't imagine going to middle school in a pandemic, but they're getting it done. Like the kids are very malleable and they're very, they can change, and they can accept things like this. The old people like me, I think have the hardest time.
I think that my kids adjusted to it much quicker than my husband did. However, my husband, this is the final, like we got to end our night in Hollywood Studios, our Rise of Resistance. We didn't get the first one. We got the 2 p.m. And our boarding group was called while my husband was doing, like our time frame was during their lightsaber. That my son and my husband made a lightsaber. And so they were in the middle of that. But the cast members still let us come in, even though we missed our window.
I would say that'd be a good excuse. If you're making a lightsaber,
Yes, and they were like, just show us the lightsaber.
Jedi mind trick. You will let me in. I got my lightsaber.
And so, so we ended our trip with Rise of Resistance, which was awesome. And then we had a after park close reservation at Oga's. So it couldn't get more Star Wars for our family. It was awesome.
To close it out. Oh my gosh, that's great. A lightsaber Rise in Oga's. Oh my gosh, that's like the trifecta.
Yeah, it was great. It was so great.
All right. Well, hey, we got to run, but man, it's been fun talking about this. And I love that you were able to give tips to folks that are headed down soon, because even the most veteran Disney traveler right now is a little nervous if they haven't been back since July, since the park reopening. I think like you said, it is important that if you're healthy, if you're able to get out there and travel safely. I mean, there's a lot of restrictions and things to keep us all safe. But God, you can still have so much fun with your family. I had a great time with Mallory. You had a great time with your family. And, I sure appreciate you coming on and giving tips so people can have safe and fun vacations here in the fall and winter.
Yeah,
So
we need it mentally. We really,
oh
really
my gosh, yeah, seriously, dude. We were playing right like in March and April, and I love rummy, and I was killing my family at it. I got to go find the scores because I'm still winning, but God, I was rummied out. Like I need to go somewhere. I
do. Yeah,
couldn't do
exactly.
it. I couldn't do it anymore. No more rummy. No, I appreciate it. So real quick, I keep saying one more thing, but dance, how's that looking? Because you go down to Walt Disney World, Mallory cheers, and their summit championships are always down in May. At Walt Disney World, ESPN. Like, what are you guys hearing? I mean, what's this season looking like for your championships?
So from what on the website, it has continued to say that it's in January, but we normally stay at All Stars, and they're not even opening till February.
One of them, yeah, totally.
Yeah. So I talked with the girl who is now the coach. I kind of just go and help her. And she said that she believes they're moving it to April. So I'm excited because now I get to go in April, and I haven't been in April.
Yeah, I know. The two times we've been out for Summit, it's always like it's always first week of May, and so like, man, I was down there last time for Cinco de Mayo just by accident because they cheered that day. I was like, heck yeah, I'm going to Epcot and I'm rope dropping
Yeah.
in Mexico, yeah, because
Yeah. So
yeah,
so it's still scheduled. I don't know how it's going to work exactly, because everything that they had was in a bubble for the NBA and for MLS and all of that, and they're not going to be able to do that with these all-star teams and college teams. So I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm hearing April, so I'll get to go again in April.
fingers crossed. I know right now it's still on for us too, but who knows? We'll see. So, all right, Maggie. Well, thanks for dropping in and sharing another trip report with us, and we'll have to talk again soon after you get back from your next awesome adventure.
Sounds good. Thanks, Mike.
All right, don't forget today's show brought to you by the Magic for Less Travel. We appreciate it when you book with us. It really does help us keep everything going here on the show. So just drop by the magicforless.com today. Check out all the great specials. Awesome deals right now for January to April of 2021. Go down, check out Festival of the Arts, Flower and Garden. Can't run any races, but they can't keep you from running around the resorts. You can wear short shorts and put on some sneakers or run around Coronado Springs. I do it. I don't wear short shorts, but I do run around the resorts. So anyway, go over to the Magic for Less. Mention the show. We'll be working together, planning a great trip. Themagicforless.com. Also, please use our Amazon affiliate link when you shop online, beourguestpodcast.com/Amazon. And if you want to go the extra mile and support the show, get some extra content in your week, like Mike in the Midwest every Thursday, become a patron, patreon.com/beourguestpodcast. Give us a follow on the social media, Instagram and Twitter at beourguestmike and at beourguestpod. Of course, follow the show on Facebook and YouTube as well. Subscribe over there. That way you'll get all the alerts every time we go live, because you never know. It could be a Wednesday morning and all of a sudden, hey, they're recording a show. So you'll never know. Finally, one last thing, December 5th, 2020, put it on the calendar. We're having our 6-hour live show to benefit Give Kids the World. We're going to help out those families who need it the most this holiday season. We'll be broadcasting live from the village. Pam, Ricky, and I'll be there. A lot of our listeners have already said they're joining us live on location. We're going to take you around the night of a million lights at the village. And I mean, if you haven't seen this, go to the Give Kids the World website. It's gktw.org. Look at the pictures. I mean, this is like Osborne Lights level. The village looks amazing. We're going to be there bringing it to you, broadcasting live, and we're hoping you can give us a little donation for the village that night too, to help everybody out. Let's make 2020. Didn't come in great, but we're going to close it out awesome by helping out the folks who need it. So December 5th, put it on the calendar. All right, time to get out of here. We'll be back again on Wednesday with more of your listener questions. So until then, for Maggie, I'm Mike, wishing you a great Monday. Time to head back to work. Happy birthday, Paige, and we'll see you real soon. Thanks, Maggie. That was awesome. Good stuff.
Thank you.
All right. We'll have a good time dancing at the studio. Or just
Sounds good. Thanks so much.
Okay. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.